Okay, good evening. So this evening, in our Moshiach Mystery series, we're going to discuss a very important topic. I'm going to talk about the achrayus, the responsibility that each and every one of us were given to bring the GEULA, to bring Moshiach. So the discussion is going to be centered around the famous Sikha, the famous talk the Rebbe spoke on Chabad Nisan, Tafshin Nun Aleph, 28th of Nisan in 57-51, 1991. This was a historic Sikha that the Rebbe spoke. And so just to give some background to the Sikha. So when the Rebbe accepted his leadership on Yud Shvat, 10th of Shvat, Tafshin Yud Aleph, right, 1951. So the Rebbe said the historic Maimor, the famous Maimor starting Basi Lagani. And the Rebbe basically made it clear that his mission was to bring Moshiach, to bring the GEULA. That was his mission statement. The job of our generation is to bring Moshiach. And everything that the Rebbe spoke about, and including shlichus and miftzayim and all the mitzvah campaigns and all these things, was all to get to the final goal, which is to bring the GEULA. So, and as the years moved on, so the Rebbe spoke about bringing Mashiach more and more. The Rebbe started Tzivas Hashem, the children's program, the Army of Hashem, which is the goal is to bring Mashiach. We want Mashiach now. That was the slogan, maybe called the slogan of Tzivas Hashem. And the Rebbe spoke about how every Jew has to ask Hashem and daven for GEULA, and ask Hashem ad Mosai, till when, right? How much longer shall we be in Golus? And as time moved on, the Rebbe started pointing to things that were happening in the world that were signs of GEULA. And so this Sikha over here in 1991, this was right after the Persian Gulf War, where there was unbelievable nisim and aflois and wonders and miracles and things that happened that were signs of the GEULA. And so now this is after the month, the end of the month of Nisan. The end of the month of Nisan, which we know that the Nisan and Nigalu, by Nisan Asidim Ligol, it says that the Jewish people, they were redeemed in the month of Nisan, and were destined to be redeemed in the month of Nisan. In other words, it's an opportune time for GEULA. So the end, this year is coming at the end of the month of Nisan, which the Rebbe called, the acronym of the year was Tafshin and Aleph Tehei Shnas Neflois Arenu Neflois. This should be a year where Hashem shows us wonders. And the whole beginning of the Sikha, the Rebbe explained how Chavches Nisan was the most opportune time for Mashiach to come. Then after the end of the Sikha, so the Rebbe says like this: Alpi ha'omer la'el, based on everything that was said before, Advar hadgashas inin ha'geula b'miyuchad b'zman zeh, regarding the emphasis of the GEULA specifically at this time. This arouses the biggest wonder. How could it be that despite everything that we spoke about, we haven't yet brought Mashiach? Something that's totally not understood. In other words, the Rebbe is asking like a question, the way I understand it, he's like asking a question on Hashem. In other words, how could it be that despite everything that happened, everything we accomplished and everything, how could it be that the GEULA hasn't come yet? How could it be that Mashiach, that despite everything that we did, we haven't yet brought Mashiach? And then there's a Tamiya Neisefes. Then the Rebbe had a further question, or further wonder, and this is a wonder not against Hashem, but against us. There's tens and tens of Jews to gather together. And they're coming together at an opportune time for Geula. Nevertheless, the Yidden who are coming together, they're not making the biggest shturim that we call it, right? They're not making the biggest tumult that Mashiach should come immediately. And it doesn't bother them. It's not unthinkable, unfortunately, God forbid, that Mashiach won't come tonight. And even the fact that Mashiach won't come tomorrow, it doesn't bother them the fact that Mashiach is not going to come soon. And even when they cry out, it's only because of the command. Basically, the Rebbe is saying, because I told them to. Now, because I told you to, that's why you're saying Admasai. You're asking Hashem for Mashiach because I told you that's what you're supposed to do. The but if you really meant it and you really would have cried out in truth, if you really would have meant it, definitely Mashiach would have already came. What can I do to effect that Jews should really cry out in truth and they should bring Mashiach, literally. After everything that was done until now didn't help. And the proof that it didn't help is we're still in Golos. And even worse, we're in an internal Golos when it comes to serving Hashem. So that's the second issue. The second issue is that the Rebbe was trying to inspire us that we should really ask Hashem in truth for Mashiach, but we didn't take it to heart, and we're just saying it because that's what we're supposed to do. But we haven't brought Mashiach. So what's the Rebbe's eitzah? So the Rebbe said, what's the Rebbe's eitzah to bring Mashiach? The Rebbe says the only thing that I'm able to do is limsoy ha'inyan aleichem, is to give it over to you, give you the responsibility. Asu kol asher b'choltechem. You have to do everything that's in your ability. In yanim sheim ba'ofen de'oris de'toyer aval b'kelim de'tikun. That's a whole other thing. I'm not going to get into that right now. Lahavi b'poyelos Mashiach tzekenu, take it from Yad Mamish. Do everything you can to literally bring Mashiach now. The Hirotzain, it should be Hashem's will. Sheseif kol seif yimtzu asarim Yisroel, that we should find at least 10 Jews. She is akshu, that should have the stubbornness, so to say, that need to affect by Hashem, and definitely they will affect Hashem. There's a Chassidish Taich, there's a Chassidic interpretation that Hashem says that the Jewish people are going to be forgiven because they're a stiff-necked nation, and this explains that it could be understood in a positive sense also, that since Jewish people have a positive quality of being stiff-necked, meaning that their dedication to Hashem and their devotion is beyond understanding. It's like someone who's just stiff-necked and beyond super rational. So that's why Hashem forgives us. So in other words, the Rebbe is saying we should use that our positive quality of being Shei Orif, that we should affect that Hashem should bring Lahavi B'Peil as HaGeula HaMitis HaShlom, take it from Yad Mamish, that Hashem should actually bring the Geula now. And then the last part of the Sikha, the Rebbe says, but the Rebbe adds that in his own Pe'ula that the Rebbe gave a $1 for tzedakah, that everybody should give tzedakah because tzedakah brings the Geula. And then the Rebbe repeats again, V'aniyas shaliyah sisi, I've done my thing. Mikanu lahaba tasu atem kol asher b'yichaltechem. From now and on, you should do everything that you can do. V'hiratzin sheyimtzim mikem echad shnayim shleisha. It should be Hashem's will that we should find 1, 2, or 3 people. Sheyitzchasu eitza. They should come up with an idea. Ma'ala says, v'keitzad la says, what to do, how to do it. V'oid v'hu ha'ikar. The main thing is they should affect that the Geula should come now. Hekeva miyad mamash, literally now, mitech simcha v'tuv levav, and with happiness and gladness of heart. So in other words, very powerful sikha. And the bottom line that the Rebbe is saying is that Mashiach didn't come yet, and I tried that everybody should really want Mashiach and cry at Basi. It didn't work. And what's the Eitzah? The Rebbe's Eitzah now is that he's giving us now it's our responsibility to bring Mashiach. So first of all, what does it mean exactly? So what does it mean? So what should we do? The Rebbe says that we should come up with an idea, what to do, how to do it, right? How to bring Mashiach, right? So I guess we have to come up with ideas, right? One or two or three people have to come up with an idea how to bring the Geula. But I think at the same time that the Rebbe tells us to come up with ideas, at the same time the Rebbe still directs us. So actually the very next day, this was a Thursday night, Chavkas Nissen, so the Shabbos, which is Shabbos Parshas Shmini. So the Rebbe spoke, the whole Farbrengen was all centered around this idea that every Jew has the responsibility to bring Mashiach. So, just to give some background over here. So, the end of the Farbrengen that we have over here in the edited Sikha. So, at that Farbrengen, there was someone that got up. I heard, I wasn't there, that someone got up and said that basically told the Rebbe that that the Rebbe should bring Mashiach, right? In other words, the Rebbe should tzaddik goyzer v'akadosh baruch hu nekayim. It says that if a tzaddik makes a decree, Hashem will fulfill the tzaddik's request. So the Rebbe should decree that Mashiach should come. Mashiach will come. And after the chassid said that, the Rebbe said the following. The Rebbe said the following thing. The Rebbe said, Yeder Yid, every Jew, Anashim, Nashim, Afilu Taf, men, women, and even children, had the achrayas to Meisav Zayin and Zayin Avodah, to bring in Mashiach to Kenem B'Pel Mamash. You have to add in your Avodah to bring Mashiach literally. And therefore, from that we understand, as es hat kein ordnet, as anstatt allein tun, soll man sich verlassen auf andere. That instead of doing something yourself, you should rely on others. Or you should put the work on others. In other words, simply the Rebbe is referring to what himself, meaning you're going to say, oh, it's the Rebbe's responsibility to bring Mashiach, right? Let the Rebbe do something to bring Mashiach. The Rebbe is saying, no, das ist die Avodah von kol echad v'achas. This is the Avodah of each and every individual. Every person has to do their Avodah to serve Hashem, for which a person was created, and definitely he has the abilities. Because Hashem only requests of a person when he's able to handle. Now, so that's point number one. The Rebbe is making it clear once again, if it wasn't clear from the previous Sikha of Chavkas Nissen, that the Rebbe is saying that from now on, every single individual, men, women, and even children, has the responsibility to bring the Geula. So what should we do? So what is the Avodah? What should we do? Is das euch bepashtos? It's also understood simply in Meisav Zayin b'Torah v'Mitzvahs, in adding in Torah and Mitzvahs, in Limud HaTorah, Nigla the Torah, and Pnimius HaTorah. You have to add in the revealed parts of Torah, the hidden parts of Torah, and fulfilling mitzvahs with hither, beyond the letter of the law. The Rebbe mentions that then it was summertime about learning Pirkei Avos between Pesach and Shavuos and during the summer. And in the next column, the Rebbe says, in addition to adding yourself, you also have to influence others to be Meisef, to add in their Avodah. In general, spreading Torah, mitzvahs, and spreading Chassidus, which brings Mashiach. And all of your adding, your increasing in Torah and mitzvahs and influencing others, it has to be done it has to be imbued with this feeling of anticipation, a very strong anticipation for the Geula. Awaiting Mashiach. Like we say every single day in davening, that our eyes should see once again Hashem you returning. And the Rebbe concludes that it should be Hashem's will that through all our good resolutions we should actually bring Mashiach L'Payal. Okay, so basically in simple terms, right? The Rebbe is not, telling us to do something totally new and dramatic, right? that was never before, right? We're not making up a new religion, chas v'sholem, right? You don't have to do anything, right? Too radical to bring Mashiach. It's the same thing that we've been doing all until now: learning Torah, doing mitzvahs, right? Influencing others. With the tzipiyah, with the anticipation to bring Geula. So what I want to understand, and I want to try to explain tonight, is so what exactly then does it mean that the Rebbe is giving us the achrayus, giving us the responsibility to bring Mashiach? It sounded like from the Sikha of Chasnissen that the Rebbe was saying that till now it was my responsibility to bring the Geula. I did everything I could do, and we didn't yet bring Mashiach. So from now on, I'm giving you the responsibility, right? So what does that mean? In other words, doing Torah mitzvahs, that was always our responsibility. It was always a responsibility of every single Jew, right? And if you're talking about some other type of responsibility, achrayus, to bring the Geula that's unique to the Rebbe. So what does it mean now that the Rebbe is saying that now it's our responsibility? What does that mean? Okay. So let's go back to the basics over here. So I think in order to explain this, we have to explain in general what's this concept that when we do Torah and mitzvahs, so we bring Geula, right? We bring Mashiach. So sometimes we could look at it as, I guess kids explain it like it's like a reward. It's like a candy. The child behaves well. You say, "Oh, you were behaving so nicely, so now we're going to give you a candy." So sometimes you could also. It's possible also to view Mashiach also that way. That doing Torah mitzvahs, that's behaving nicely, we're being good boys. When we're good boys, so then Hashem rewards us. He gives us Mashiach. He gives us the Geula. So in Tanya, in Perek Lamed Zayin, chapter 37 of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe explains that it's much deeper than that. Our avodah of Torah mitzvahs actually creates Geula. It creates the Geula. What does that mean? So, the Alter Rebbe defines what Yemaisa Mashiach is really about. And then, based on that, he explains how doing Torah mitzvahs, that actually creates the reality of Yemaisa Mashiach. So he says like this, the ultimate goal, the ultimate perfection of Yemaisa Mashiach, Tchias HaMesim. So what is that? Shehu Gili Oirein Tzev Baruch Hu B'Olam Hazeh HaGashmi. What Mashiach is about, it's about the revelation of the infinite light of Hashem in this physical world. Right, which Alter Rebbe he called in the previous parak, Dira B'Tachtonim, yeah? That Hashem has a dwelling place in this world. That's what Mashiach is about. That there should be a revelation of the ultimate revelation of Hashem in this world. Says the Alter Rebbe, this is totally b'maseinu v'avodaseinu kol zman meshach hagolus. This is dependent on our avodah during golus. Why? Ki hagoyrim schar hamitzvah hi hamitzvah ba'atzma. He says what causes the reward of the mitzvah is the mitzvah itself. It's not, the reward isn't something separate from the mitzvah, it's a direct result of the mitzvah. Ki ba'asiyasa, when a person does the mitzvah, what is he doing? Mamshech ha'adam gili ayin tei baruch hu b'maylo lamata. What a person is doing is exactly that. A person is drawing down the revelation of the infinite light of Hashem, of Oirein Soif, from above downward, lehislabish, b'gashmi lamata, to be enclosed in this physical world. As he goes on to explain that every single mitzvah involves a physical thing, and the mitzvah is Hashem's will, which is united with Hashem. And so essentially what you're doing with the mitzvah is you're drawing down Hashem's will, which is Oyer Ein Sof, which is Hashem's infinite revelation, into something physical in this world. So when we finish that job, so then we will have Mashiach, we will have Geula, we will have the revelation of Oyer Ein Sof in the physical world. So what follows is that our avodah is actually creating the reality of Yemaisa Mashiach. Okay, so now the question is, so of course that is true. Of course it's true that our avodah is actually creating the reality of Yemaisa Mashiach. But how important is it to be aware of that? In other words, a Yid could say that, listen, Hashem has his plan, he has his goal. Why he wants me to do Torah and mitzvahs. He wants me to, he wants to have a dira b'tachtonim, he wants it to be gili Oyer Ein Sof in this physical world. And that's why he told us to do Torah and mitzvahs. And so that's like his plan, right? But I'm just a simple worker over here. I'm just doing what my boss tells me, right? Yeah, he has this, grand plan of, like a building a mansion, right? But, but that's not necessarily so important that I be aware of that or think about it. So this next sikha over here, Chelek Chavbeis of Likutei Sichos, Parshas Tazria Metzora. So the Rebbe loans out from this, from Tazria Metzora, that the Hayrah is the lesson is that it's not enough to know that you're just doing Torah mitzvahs because that's what Hashem said. But you have to identify with Hashem's plan as well, with Geula as well. So it's a whole thing over there. I'm getting to the whole sikha. He explains how Tazria means to plant. Metzora is, it says Mashiach is called a Metzora. Anyway, so the point is that Tazria refers to the avodah doing of Galus, and Metzora refers to Geula. So the Rebbe says like this. We start in the third paragraph. It says, Ayid darf lernen Torah mekayim zayin mitzvahs mit Kabbalah, weil azay hat der Rebbe geheißen. A Jew has to learn Torah and do mitzvahs with Kabbalah, with acceptance of the yoke of Hashem, because that's what Hashem said. You could think, what's the difference what my avodah accomplishes? Is Adem di Hara as bejachin im Hanal as in Maseinu Vavedesenu von Zman Hagolus darf der Herd werden as das is an Indian von Tazria was bringt die Tzmicha dem Gili von Mashiach. The lesson that Tazria and Metzora come together is that a Yid has to feel that his avodah is just the planting, it's the sowing in the earth which is bringing the growth, which is the Geula. Ubemela as the Yiluyim del Asad Zayin and it came Bazunderinian. You have to realize that all the revelations of Mashiach, it's not a separate thing. This is a continuation. This is a result of our avodah in Galus. The tzmicha was come from their avodah in Galus. This is the tzmicha. This is the growth which comes out of the avodah in Galus. Now the Rebbe takes it a step further. And then verbund von der avodah bisman haGalus Tazria mit bias HaMashiach. But in how connected is your avodah to Mashiach? There could be many, many different ways. Even though every Jew believes in Mashiach, awaits his coming, was thus as a Yisoid from the Yisoides HaAmunah, this is one of the foundations of our faith, and welchen alle Yidden seien gleich, in which all Jews are equal. Can aber sein achilak a wieviel das verbunden mit dem Lumen HaTorah v'kim HaMitzvos mit Maseinu v'Avodah von Hayidin. There could be differences in how connected is this to our avodah now. I can learn in Torah and mekayim zayin mitzvos. It's possible that you should learn Torah, you should fulfill mitzvos. Wissen as das is Tazria, as das bringt Mashiach, and you know that yes, my avodah is bringing Mashiach. Aber zu sein avodah doesn't it? But it's nothing to do with me. It's nothing to do with what I'm doing. While Aleph Nitzulib Dem learned out Torah and Mekayim mitzvahs. That's not why I'm learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. In other words, I'm doing because Hashem told me, right? I know, yes, of course, this is what my avodah is going to accomplish, right? But that's not my personal goal. In Beis, second of all, it could be that it doesn't bother you if the Geula is going to come later. And as man später, whether it'll come later in a different generation, God forbid. You're satisfied, you're happy with the fact that you're learning Torah. Is Mekayim mitzvahs and Machtizuri of the Geula. You're happy with the fact that you're sowing for the Geula. You're making the preparations for the Geula. That's enough. Avdem is the Hera. So here we have the lesson as B'Rov Hashanim Zayin the Beda Sidris Mechubaris. That in most years Tazria and Metzora. That means the Avodah and Golos and the Geula are connected. When Aklal Gadol B'Torah is Shal Harayv Tedaber. When Adin Ikri B'Halacha L'Maisa B'Poilas Azlin and Basaruba, we go after the majority. So most years Tazria and Metzora are connected. So that means that is the way it has to be. Das heißt, is darf sein der Chibur von Tazria und Metzora. The Tazria and Metzora have to be connected. Und azay b'shleimus as keminig Yisrael umatum as mefrekten b'yem rishon von der Woch. Oder b'shar hayamim von welcher Woch is der Enfer b'Parshas and Parshas Tazria and Metzora, right? In other words, you that if someone asks you what's this week's Parsha, you say this is Tazria and Metzora. In other words, you see how connected Tazria and Metzora are. What does that mean? That means sein Avoden Gold darf sein durchgenommen mit der ständigen Zipir und Streben zu der Geula. It means that your Avoden Gold has to be permeated with the constant anticipation and yearning for the Geula. So in other words, the Rebbe is saying over here is, that's the end of it. There's a couple more words over there at the end of the paragraph. I don't have it over here. In other words, what the Rebbe is saying over here is that yes, of course, you could learn Torah and you could do mitzvahs, and that brings Geula whether you know it or not, right? Whether you know it or not, that's just what's happening, right? You're fulfilling Hashem's will, you're drawing down the infinite light of Hashem into this world, that's just what's happening. But the question is, how much, right, is it part of your consciousness? How much is it consciously part of what you know you're accomplishing? So let's give an example, right, of an Eved, right? You have a servant, right? Or a worker, really any worker. So there's one worker, so you have his master is building a mansion, building a palace, right? So one servant, so he knows that his master is building a palace, but he doesn't really care about the palace, right? All he knows is that his master told him, right, knock these nails into this board over here, paint this wall, right? Lay down this foundation over here, do all these different things, right? And he knows that's his job, and that's his fulfillment in life, and that's all he cares about. So yeah, happens to be, he knows, yes, his master eventually will one day have this beautiful palace, and he's making it. But that's not so important to him. What's important to him is just that he's doing his job. Then you have a servant who's on a higher level. This is a servant who identifies with his master's goal. He identifies it with him. He loves his master so much that he also wants that his master should have a palace. And it's important to him not only that he should do exactly what his master wants, but it's important also to him that his master's ultimate goal should be fulfilled. So that's the difference between the two types of Jews, right? There's one Jew who's like the first worker, right? Who's just, okay, I'm doing what Hashem wants. I'm being a good Jew. I'm doing Torah mitzvahs. I'm following halacha. I'm doing exactly what Hashem wants of me. Being a good Jew, right? And of course, I know that Hashem will, this accomplishes and it will eventually bring Mashiach. Okay, so that's wonderful. That's great, right? I hope it happens, but that's not the main thing for me. But the ultimate, the Hayra, the Rebbe is saying over here, is you have to be like the second Eved. You have to be like the second Eved over here. No, this has to be your goal. Your goal has to be that you have to identify with Hashem's goal of Dir B'Tachtonim. That you want a dwelling place for Hashem in this world. That's what you're looking to accomplish. So all of this doesn't yet explain the concept of achrayus, responsibility. Responsibility is a much greater level. This is a third level. It's beyond those two levels of these two servants. So we could say that the concept of Achai is based on another Sikha in Chelek Chav Gimel of Likutei Sichos. I don't have the quote over here in volume 23 of Likutei Sichos, Bezid Gimel Tammuz. And basically, what the gist of the Sikha over there, the Rebbe was talking about when the Frierdiker Rebbe was incarcerated. He was taken into prison in 1927, Tafresh Pei Zayin, for his quote-unquote counter-revolutionary work in the Soviet Union, spreading Yiddishkeit, and he was going to be the original sentence was going to be the death sentence, right? And eventually that was commuted, and then it was going to be 10 years of harsh labor in Siberia, and that was commuted, and then he was going to be 3 years of exile in Kostroma, and eventually he left prison, and he left also Kostroma and his place of exile 10 days later on Yud Gimel Tammuz, right? So the Frierdiker Rebbe says that he was distressed about the fact that he was taken, that he was in prison. Now later he said that there was something that he spoke about, the concept of hashgacha pratis, that calmed him down, that gave him the ability to endure the pain. But the point I want to focus on is the fact that he was pained by the fact that he was taken into Gullus, that he was imprisoned. The Rebbe asks, so why was he pained, right? Why was he pained? Seemingly, why was he taken into Gullus? It wasn't his own fault, right? Everything that happens obviously happens because of Hashem. And also over here, he didn't do anything wrong. On the contrary, the reason why he was imprisoned was because he was spreading Yiddishkeit, right? So what greater thing could there be than having this Mesiras Nefesh that he's in prison because of spreading Yiddishkeit, right? He should be happy. So if you're someone who's not on the level of a Rebbe, like the previous Rebbe, okay, so then your physical state, right, might also bother you, right? And the fact that you're in pain physically, or they're going to end your life, God forbid, so it might pain you. But we're talking about a Rebbe over here. His physical state didn't bother him. He was totally bottled, totally devoted to fulfilling Hashem's will. So why did it bother him the fact that he was? Why did it bother him the fact that he was in prison? Why did it bother him? What was the problem? So the Rebbe says an unbelievable thing that gives an analogy. So what happens? You have someone who owns a company, and he has a worker. So what happens? The worker does everything he can, right, to get the job done, and he still is not successful, right? So at the end of the day, so the worker goes home, he has a good night's sleep, everything is fine. On the contrary, he worked so hard, he did everything he could, he fulfilled all of his boss's expectations, right? There's nothing wrong. The boss, however, he can't sleep. He can't sleep at night. Why? Because the work's not done, right? The work's not done. So what that he tried everything he could? So the Rebbe says, what's the analog? The analog is, so yes, we know that we're Hashem's servants, right? And Hashem is the master. But there could be a Jew, there could be a Rebbe, someone who's at the level that he's, so to say, he's like a partner with the boss. He's like a partner with him. In other words, he identifies so much with Hashem's cause that the fact that right now there's some type of roadblock, there's some type of obstacle in Hashem's will being fulfilled, in Hashem's ultimate purpose being fulfilled, meaning Torah mitzvahs, that bothers him just like it bothers Hashem, so to say. So the Frierdiker Rebbe was on such a level. Chazal say that, right, that a person, right, says whoever says Vayichulu, right, on Ma'ariv Shabbos, that's the shutef l'HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'ma'aseh bereishis, right? He becomes like a partner to Hashem in creation. In other words, what do they mean by that analogy? That there's a certain level, right, where a Jew is able to identifies so much with Hashem's cause that he feels that he's like Hashem's partner. He's like, just like the boss, needs to get the job done. So you feel just like Hashem needs to get the job done, you feel that you need to get the job done. So this is already a higher level, right? So it's not like the first servant, the first type of Eved who's just doing his thing, he couldn't care less, right? Even the second Eved, even the second worker who identifies with his master's plan, but at the end of the day, it's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility. At the end of the day, I anticipate, I want my master's, I want him to achieve his goal, I want him to have his mansion, but at the end of the day, it's not my responsibility. It's not his responsibility. Even the servant who's on a higher level. Someone who's a partner in the business, it's his responsibility, just like it is the other partner. So that's the concept of achrayas. That's the concept that you have an achrayas to bring the Geula, that you feel that you're like a shutef l'HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'maaseh bereshis. You're like Hashem's partner, so to say. In other words, you have to get this done. It's not enough that I did everything I can, and now so good, I did, and let's just wait for it to happen. So you could explain. Now I think we could explain based on this what was unique about Chav Ches Nisan. So basically, what happened in Chav Ches Nisan, what the Rebbe implied, is that till now he had the achrayas to bring Mashiach, and now the Rebbe is giving us the achrayas, giving us the responsibility to bring Mashiach. So why is it that originally the Rebbe had the responsibility to bring Mashiach? We asked, and now what does it mean that now he's giving us that responsibility? So first of all, why is it that the Rebbe has this responsibility to bring Mashiach? So based on everything that we explained, so we could understand very well why it's really the Rebbe who has the responsibility to bring Mashiach. It's the tzaddik, it's the nasi hador. So these different levels we talked about, these two levels of avodim, of servants, and someone who's a shutif, these actually correspond to different levels of the neshama. So we know Chassidus explains that in our relationship with Hashem, which is through our neshama, there's many levels. So generally speaking, they're divided into three levels. Usually we talk about two, but really it's three. So the most basic level is the koiches hagluyim of the neshama. It means the revealed qualities, the revealed abilities of the neshama. In other words, your understanding, your feelings, right? The part of yourself that you feel and know about and are aware of and you usually interact with. So that's the relationship that a person has with Hashem, that he's, sort of say, a separate entity from Hashem. He's a separate person. He's like that first Eved. He's a separate person with his own mind and his own heart. And it's only that we connect with Hashem. We understand Hashem. We try to understand Hashem's greatness and we try to develop a feeling for Hashem. But at the end of the day, you're like a separate, so to say, like a separate entity. And there's a deeper level of the neshama, which we call the koiches makifim, or we call it chai yechida shebenefesh. This, so to say, this is a deeper level of the neshama. At this level, a person feels that his very identity is connected with Hashem. No, I'm not a person. He feels at this level that I'm not like a person who understands and has a feeling for Hashem, and a separate entity. So to say, this is my very identity. I don't have any other identity other than the fact that I'm a Yid, I'm a Jew, and I'm connected to Hashem. That is the essence of who I am. It says that's where Mesiras Nefesh comes from. Why is it that a Jew who doesn't understand, he doesn't know, nothing, just suddenly, now he's faced with the challenge of either give up your life or serve Avodah Zarah, right? Give up Torah mitzvahs, right? The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that for the most part, most Jews gave up their life not because they understood, not because they felt, not because of any deep understanding or feeling, just because they felt that this is my identity, this is who I am, and I can't part with it. And that comes from the level of Yechida Shebenefesh. So this is similar to the higher level of an Eved. It's an Eved who totally identifies with his master. This is the Eved whose whole identity is his master. Yechida Shebenefesh. But even Yechida Shebenefesh is not the highest level. So this is the deepest level of the neshama. Is the etzem haneshama, the essence of the soul, is like it says in the Zohar, Yisroel v'kuchabricha kulachad. That the Jewish people and Hashem, or so to say, are one. Even at the level of Yechidah Shebenefesh, so at the end of the day, you're still a separate entity from Hashem. You're a separate entity whose whole, who identifies your whole identity is to connect with Hashem. But at the end of the day, you're like an Eved, you're a separate entity, you're not a Shutif. The Etzem HaNeshama, you sort of say, you're like a Shutif LaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yisroel v'kuchabricha kulachad. They sort of say, there isn't me and Hashem. There's one existence, so to say. I don't exist. This is obviously something that we can't experience nowadays fully, right? Because then we wouldn't exist, right? We would just be subsumed in the higher reality of Hashem. However, there is one Jew in every generation, the Nasi Hador, the tzaddik of the generation, the Rebbe of the generation, who he is someone who's at the level of whose etzem haneshama, so to say, the essence of his neshama is revealed, that's simply what the Rebbe said once, that the concept of a Rebbe is atzmas umahutz melubish beguf, right? The essence of Hashem, right, enclosed in a body. What does that mean? It sounds like almost idolatrous, right? But the meaning is that by him, the essence of his neshama is revealed. In other words, that level of the neshama where the neshama is not at all a separate entity and totally is like one thing with Hashem. So, based on this, we can understand. So, who is it that really feels that they're a shutef l'HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Who is it that feels that they're, so to say, that they're like a partner with Hashem, and therefore they feel the importance and the achrayas and their responsibility that the dir b'tachtonim, that Mashiach should come? It's the Rebbe. It's the Rebbe that feels that way. It's the Rebbe who has that achrayas, that feels that achrayas. That so to say, he's so to say like he feels that it's just because he's so to say one with Hashem that this has to be fulfilled. This is my goal. This is everything. So what happened? Chav Ches Nissen on the Sicha. What's the Rebbe telling us? The Rebbe is telling us that now he is giving this power, this level of achrayas that comes from the essence of the neshama. The Rebbe is now giving over that achrayas to every single yid, to every single Jew. In other words, what the Rebbe is doing, the Rebbe is elevating every single Jew to be able to feel that achrayas that comes from the essence of the neshama, that he should feel that it's his achrayas, that it's his responsibility to bring the GEULA, which basically means, as you see in practical terms, so obviously it doesn't change what you have to do. Obviously, always we had to learn Torah, and we always had to do mitzvahs, and we always knew that we were bringing Mashiach. But now, what changed is now it's our responsibility. So maybe you could say before Chassidus was revealed, we were like the first level of an Eved, right? In other words, we didn't know, so to say, what we were accomplishing so much. Came the revelation of Chassidus, and then now we understood. Oh, look what we're accomplishing, right? We're making a dir b'tachtonim, and as Chassidus became more and more revealed through all the Rebbeim, even through the Rebbe, so the heightened awareness of how our avodah is bringing GEULA and our anticipation for GEULA and how we want the GEULA, all of that came to its peak. And now the Rebbe says but that didn't work. I tried, so the Rebbe was saying, like, I tried for you to be on the like the second Eved, right? That so you should identify with the cause, and you should ask for the GEULA, and you should anticipate, and you should really want it. But you didn't. But it didn't work. So what's the Rebbe's eitzah? Rebbe's eitzah is to take it to a higher level. The Rebbe says, now I'm going to give you an even greater challenge, and I'm giving you the ability to do it. That now you have to realize that I don't just want you to anticipate GEULA, but now it's your achrayas. I want you to feel that it's your responsibility. I want to know that you should know that now it's your responsibility to bring the GEULA. Now that might sound sort of funny, right? Like, since you weren't able to accomplish level number 2, right? So now let's try out level number 3. But it could be that I saw someone gave an analogy that the Rebbe writes that like in education, sometimes if you have children who are not cooperating, they're not following they're not following the plan, right? So sometimes, right, by giving them more personal responsibility, the Rebbe writes, that will get them more involved, right? Let's tell them, okay, now it's your responsibility. You have to make sure that that other child learned. It's your responsibility. You have to test him, right? So suddenly now it's theirs, right? Now they own it. So sometimes if you sort of say you're working your way up, and sometimes like something more basic doesn't work, sometimes you need to sort of say take it to the next level, and then you'll have better results. It could be maybe that's what's going on over here also. The Rebbe is saying, listen, I tried to get you guys inspired, and that you should really want anticipate Mashiach and want Mashiach, and it didn't really work so well. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an even greater level of responsibility. Now I'm making it that now it's literally the responsibility of every single one of you to bring the Geula. Don't rely on me. Now it's your responsibility to bring to bring the Geula. So, Chav Chesdistan is a very powerful sikha, and on the surface it seems that what's happening over here. What the Rebbe is deserting us. He's not if the Rebbe didn't bring the Geula, so we're going to bring the Geula. But it would seem that the Rebbe is actually, obviously, he's saying he's giving us something, right? He's giving us something. Whenever you say something, you're giving someone something, right? If I just say, okay, I'm giving up, you try, right? That's not what the Rebbe says. The Rebbe didn't say, I gave up, okay, now you try. The Rebbe said, I'm giving it over to you. That means the Rebbe has something and he's giving it over to us. So the Rebbe had the koyach, he had the sachrayas to bring the Geula. Now the Rebbe gave it over to every single Jew, that now they have the achrayas and the ability to bring the Geula, which from practical terms means that now that it has to, like the Baal bus, right? You can't go to sleep at night. You have to till we do whatever we can to bring the Geula. Take it from Miyad Mamish.
Yeah.